Alright, we had a little delay. So usually by inspection you can see that if you have a chord shape, let's find an easy one. Whoops. Yeah, right. Let's find an easy one. Here, we'll use the stop the drawing tool there. Oh, Task Manager is cool. So by inspection, we'll be able to find, to be able to get the chord cage that contains the triad that we're looking for. So say in Mixolydian, okay, which is 5-7-2, suppose we got this 5-7-2 right here. All right, so let's find 5-7-2. Okay, so that's a root-shaped fifth chord. Okay, where is that chord? What would we play along with that chord, or in what cage does it belong to? All right, so it would be right here, the AR, D4, or E5. All right. So since we're in Mixolydian, it might be the E shape, because Mixolydian is the fifth. Let's see if that works. So starting on the 5, there's 5-7-2, right? And we're going to try the E shape from the 5. Okay, so it'd be, all right, then we'll have alright, it kind of fits right in there. So it probably belongs to that cage. So usually it's a little too easy to do the majors because by inspection, if you've got a major chord, let's look for one that we know. Okay, here is a D shape. Fourth chord, right? So it's second inversion. It's root 4-6. Okay, so we'll look for a root 4-6 cage, chord rather, right here, right there, right? What cage does that belong to? All right, so since it's the 4 and it's the D shape, we want this one down here. See, not this one D5 up here, or C4. We want this one because it's the D shape. So it works for familiar chords, and it should also work. The way to make sure that you know it works for the other chords is to actually just look at that cage. Look at that that tri-pentatonic expanded cage. It covers the entire pentatonic scale. Okay, so it goes from A, whoops, and then D, and then E. All right, that is that cage there. That's plenty of music right there, plenty of notes to deal with. Of course, our arpeggios are going to travel across that. We'd go R4, 6 across that, but we don't have to freak out that it crossed over between these two, because now the art is actually in this one. You see? So it all makes sense. You just have to find the one that it's at. Try to find a familiar chord. Look at 4-6-R. That is a C-shaped chord. All right, it's just that's the same thing, and the relative root would be the fourth. So it's a C-shaped fourth root chord, 4, 6 root, like there. Okay, so there it is, C-shaped 4. It's right there. So now let's move on to the minors. We've pretty much, now we're doing okay with the majors. By inspection, you're pretty much going to just match up the chord. So just to finish that D chord we were looking at, the D shape 4, it would be part of this cage here, which would be the A, D, E cage, starting on the 5th, and the key is C, or something like that. And so it's almost by inspection. The 4, you look for the D4, and you know you're there. What I wanted to say before was that part of that D, okay, in this cage we've got an A-shaped R, which is 5R3. We've got a D-shaped 4, which is R4-6. We've got an E-shaped 5, which is 5R, an E-shaped 5. Now, where's our E-shaped 5? Okay, you see, there's a note missing here. All right, because this cage, see this AR, D4, E5 cage, it's the same in all 3 pentatonic fretboards. So this pentatonic fretboard just is showing the Phrygian and the Lydian. So we don't have that note. All right, that's a D note. It's a 2, because remember, 6 goes to 2 straight up. So that would be a 2. That's not like an accidental or something on the piano. So there is our E-shaped 5 right there. 2, 5, 7. So you could pretty much do it by inspection, but still haven't made the point. And the point is, within a particular cage, there are other inversions aside from just the one that we put our fingers on. There's the ones that are formed by the bar. There's the ones that are formed by the warp, and we can assign them also to the same familiar chords. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The other thing is that if you do the arpeggios and just take them right into the warp, you won't really care what the shape is, but you'll start to become familiar with those shapes. Okay. All right. So that's just a basically a second inversion, fourth arpeggio. All right, let's look at the minors now, because the lesson has to cover these wonderful minors that we have. All right, so let's look at the Dorian first. We're going to set the Dorian up, and then we'll have the next segment will cover the Dorian and the other ones. Dorian's 2, 4, 6. The next up is the 4th. Remember that, because the next up in the Phrygian is the 5th, and the next up in the in the Aeolian minor is the root. Okay, the next up in the Phrygian minor is the 5th. It's the relative. And then the Dorian has a relative too. It's the 4th. Alright? So just remember the next up rule. Alright? So let's look at a Dorian. Dorian starts on the 2. Okay? So we're going to look at one of these arpeggios from the 2. Alright, so it'd be just like that. Alright, that's your Dorian arpeggio that takes you up to this nice little chord here. You didn't know about this one. I didn't.